Hello, Internet. Today we are continuing our journey with trying to provision Cloud Lambda Labs instances automatically with Terraform. If you haven't watched the first part, I recommend you do that and then jump back here. I have made a little bit of progress offline, and I will try to bring you up to speed and debug one issue, and this will be the end of this video, and then we'll continue tomorrow, hopefully, with another one. Okay, so let's dive in. I have generated an open API client with some generator. Specifically, it's, I don't know, this one. Deep Map Open API Cogen. Seemed to just like work sort of without a lot of configuration, which is what I wanted. Probably we could have like, I don't know, I could have done like better selection, but I truly don't really care. I think this is good enough for us. So we are going to debug the fact that things are not working. I have some red squigglies and I'm going to try to eliminate them. Right now, I've got an error, which is provider data is nil, and please report this issue to blah, 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 blah. This is an error message that actually Copilot generated as I was developing code before, but the assertion seems to be in place. So if we actually go to this assertion, let's actually close this tab, clear the screen. Yeah, so I don't know, should we? Like, if this is nil, yeah, we cannot like dereference this. So I'm guessing we should have that guard here. And if we look at the coffee data source example, configure, it says if data is nil, then return. So yeah, I think we definitely need some kind of like safeguard here. We might not need to actually do anything here, but like adding this diagnostic is nice. Or yeah, basically it's important. So why is our provider data nil? As we can see, this request is the configure request, and it is built probably somewhere here, and we might want to actually provider data config. I don't know. There is no provider data. So how would we build this thing? Request provider. I'm not even sure if this is actually the right thing to do. Let's look at that a little bit. So this is our entry point. This is our Lambda Labs provider. Here we are calling configure. We are able to see this, if I recall correctly. So let's look this up. In the log, we type that into grep. Sorry about that. Should have been this thing. I always don't remember how to pipe std out. Pipe std error to std out. Command to arrow. Okay, so let's just verify that by, I don't know. Again, pipe std error to std out. Okay, so it's everything now is std out, and if we now grep for debug, okay, yeah, so our grep is working and piping is working. So we are not seeing this one. So that means we are somewhere earlier in the pipeline. So let's try to, I don't know, let's trace. Um, okay, so now we've got ourselves a huge trace thing. We can attempt to do something about that. Let's figure this out. Trace. Okay, this is very verbose. Like insanely verbose. Okay, this is impossible. We don't want that trace level. Debug is enough. So we are attempting to open CLI config Terraform RC, explicit provider args, string plan, blah 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 blah. Backend local starting plan operation. It does say that we are overriding this provider, which is good because, well, we have attempted to override this provider. And configuring client, automatic mutual TLS, waiting for RPC address on this thing. Terraform provider, configuring server automatic NTLS, blah, 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 blah. RPC error code unavailable. Interesting. So this is our problem. Like, this is the first error. Provider STDI will receive the OF. Okay. So now we know we are even not in this area. Let's look at main.go, which is the entry point for our provider. And we are supposed to serve here and set to true to run provider with support for debug values like delve. Let's try that. Okay, let's rerun this thing again. We need to build it again. So go install says, oh, sorry. Streams, Terraform, on the labs, and go install. And TF, yeah, debug. And oh, we still unavailable. RPC error. Signal killed. Oh, that's definitely not good. It says error while loading schemas for plugin components failed to obtain provider schema, could not load schema for provider. EDU Lambda Labs. The hell is going on? Okay, let's convert that back to false. Let's look back at, first of all, we don't want, let's actually replace back the coffee sauce, because we do have a reference for something working, which is quite sad. I wanted to, well, make this work. Okay, file system data source. Let's just, where's the new file system data source? Yeah, we want to replace that with new coffee data source. Sadly, should we have? No, okay, we don't need to call that. This data source is just, yeah. But this will definitely be broken because we don't have our hashy cups new client. Yeah. post API key, and we do need a username. I think it's supposed to be like a reference to everything. Yeah. Probably not even the right order. Yeah, username and password is basically um, flipped around. So this client now is the HashiCorp client. And who's using the client? We are putting it in the data source data, which is any. Then we are extracting it on the other side. So if we go over to this area, we can look up for .client, and we just have like data source .client as a thing. So I think this should now work because we're not importing this one, so we can just try to cd back, go install, and we should open another tab and like cd into the Docker Compose and Docker Compose up. Yeah, and by the way, the Docker Compose basically bootstraps server and the Postgres database. We do need to do something like register user. What was it? It was somewhere in the guides. Terraform Provider documentation. Not the CRUD. We want not the reference. We want develop. Oh, not Kubernetes as well. Ah, god damn it. History. Terraform. Yesterday. So implementing data source. Where could I have fucked up? We can always peek at the branch here. Okay, that's actually quite a good idea. Maybe we'd want to do that. Congratulations, you have implemented the data source. If you are stuck, you can always see this branch. And yeah, okay, let's just figure this out in a brute force way. So coffee's data source, go. We can just literally copy that, go to the coffee data source, paste that in, should be just fine. Or provider. I do have some work that I've done that I don't want to be lost here, so I will try to be mindful and not copy everything here. Let's try to like introspect that a little bit more thoroughly, and then we'll figure out where have I fucked up. So configure schema provider level schema configuration. Oh, actually, you know what? Sorry about that. Let's just we have bootstrapped our Docker. We are here. Let's go install again, just to be sure. cd into the coffees example and Terraform plan. And it now says that it's unhappy with the configuration, which is totally okay because we have not created a file system. Yeah, okay. Sorry, cd coffees. And it says plan requires configuration to be present. it not in this example? No, it's in solid verification, data source. I see. Could have been this, lambda coffees. Okay, I'm deleting this API key. And output, yeah, coffees. This one should have been coffees well, and that should have been coffees as well. And our username, yeah, sure, whatever. But we do need to register this user in the database. So let's figure this out. Username, or you know what, let's just copy these. And we should have had some command here to register that. So let's username next docker close up, or maybe curl off. That's the one. Already exists. It. That's not good because oh, actually I don't have that password, but we might not need that. So let's just Terraform plan that, and it says password not expected. Why is that? Because I fucked up the thing. Yeah, that's my bad. So first of all, in order for this to now work, because I have done a lot of crappy stuff here, we just need to like inject this in the right place. So that's going to be Lambda Labs host password, blah, 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 blah. Let's just set a few more, which are the right ones. So that's going to be username, no, not user, agent. And that's just going to be the hard-coded crap here. So just education and password, and that's going to be test 1, 2, 3. Okay, so these values can just go directly into this client. So password test 1, 2, 3. Surprised Copilot is okay with injecting these, and the host is going to be that's going to be our fake host. I think that was like something like local host something. Let's figure it out. Yeah, okay, so Copilot definitely knows this tutorial better than I do, and fake host goes directly here. Once we've got that, we can now we need to cd 2 directories down, go install again with the new code, and cd back, and not go install, but Terraform plan. It says password not expected again, and it is correct. We need to delete these because right now we are hard coding them from within. And it says that the provider cannot create the Lambda Labs API key because I have been too strict. Without the API key, it is enforced right now. So yeah, this thing is just going to, we're just going to ignore that for now. And cd back, go install, and that's going to be in a subshell, so we won't need to care about CDing every time. And let's Terraform plan again. And now says the API client Lambda host, either it's already set, ensure the value is not empty. So host again, also, we don't care about that. So yeah, install again and plan. Client, protocol unsupported, localhost, yeah, HTTP. Okay, so now we've got that working. So let's actually try to find the diff between what we did and this thing. So first of all, now we've got our Lambda client, which is going to be Lambda Labs, new authenticated client, and we are going to pass the actual host and the API key. And the authenticated client, we are just passing the actual clouds Lambda Lab thing. So that's all right. We don't need to do anything fancy here. And this client will now attempt to replace this client. And we will attempt to replace the data source, because we don't want to do two things together. So not the provider, sorry. New hashy. What's the new thing? First of all, yeah, we're not planning to use the client. And that's going to be either that or error. And yeah, okay. No new variables on the left side of blah, 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 blah. So let's just comment that out. I'm not going to bother with everything. And also, all of these also, let's just comment them out. No need for these as well. We are not going to care about the hosting. If it's not defined, that's all right. And our API key is actually required. So let's enforce that. Data source. Yeah, so instead of new coffee, new file system data source. I basically decided that the file system data source is like a simple one because it's basically returning a list of the file systems that I have provisioned. So it should be quite easy, quote unquote, to do that. Hopefully, yeah, we'll just make progress. Yeah. Let's try to figure out what's the difference between the new coffee source and new data source. So new coffee source the only thing it does is return coffee data source and empty struct. And if we go back to new file system, it returns the file system data source. Yeah, so nothing interesting here. Next up, let's actually, you know what? We can try to compare them. Literally compare like diff. So let's take these two and diff them. And firstly, we can try to attempt to make this a little bit nicer by sorting stuff. So first of all, this model, we don't have an equivalent of it, but the metadata. So let's find the metadata function and paste that right in front of this one. So metadata should be now on the same level. It is completely not. What's the metadata function? We do have schema and metadata. And this new file system source was on new coffee system source. So that's just below the var thing. Yeah. And the only thing we're missing here is like the comment, which is, well, not interesting that much. So yeah. Helper, blah, 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 blah. Anything else that we need here? Probably not. So we can try to equalize these as much as we can. Type struct coffee data source model. And here we've got that. Our model is not here. We might want to actually bring that in. So let's actually do that. So we've got the file system model right here. Back to our diff. And this is the one. So right above that, we've got that model. So we've got, yeah, need to replace the rows. Basically, minimizing diffs is like super useful when we're trying to make things a little bit more like, I don't know, useful, something. Okay, apparently they prefer things to be capitalized for some reason. I don't know how would that serve us, but sure. Back to our diff. Created. No, I see. Okay, never mind. Let's not do all of that crap right now. Let's. I need to not press escape, which apparently closes everything here. So metadata thing looks okay. Our schema is just a big ass schema, nothing fancy or interesting about that. Read and configure. Okay, so they are now not aligned. So let's copy these and replace. Let's shuffle these, the order of these. So read is below. Awesome. So let's compare the configure function. So our configure function, here we are only adding diagnostics, which is useful. Here we're importing the HashiCorp client and unexpected data source configuration, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we are just doing error printing a little bit differently. And apparently they are reporting the request provider data, which probably is useful in some sense. So yeah, we are interpolating that. So definitely not the thing that we aim for. Anything else? Developers expected. Printf. Okay. And unexpected configuration type. Seems cleaner. Yeah, sure. New line. And we are missing the comment. So let's copy the comment here. Anything else in this line except for the name? Doesn't seem very different. This is now fetching, and here we just have that, and then we are passing it. So also nothing interesting. State append, state dot something. Okay, so that seems to be, you might be useful. So State coffees. So we should have done something in the lines of sending it to the state. So set state. This is our for loop, which is a range, and within each range, so what they are doing is, okay, first of all, it seems that they're not doing it things the same. Oh, okay, we are appending. Okay, so never mind that. I already have that. I was certain that we've done something different, but apparently not. We do have like the state append. They're just first creating the model and then appending it. But what is this crap? Append state systems. That's not the syntax, right? Append. Okay, apparently it is. But I do see the appeal of saying file system state is this one, and then state append file system state. Seems a little bit cleaner. Yeah, okay. But still, like, response dot, oh, it is diagnostics. Okay. Is it? No. Should have been response diagnostic has errors. Anything else that we need? Here we've got if error not equal nil, return. We probably want that return. Get coffees. Yeah, so here we've got that. This is the only thing that's different. Here we actually we pass the context and the client to somewhere to do something. But you know what? Let's just try to go install. Let's cd back into file systems. And let's Terraform plan this crap. Okay, first of all, it says provider data is nil. Okay, let's figure this out. Why the fuck is provider data nil right now? Configure. I haven't used the debugger on in Go ever, so this might be like good time to do that. If we now head to configure, what are the differences? Here we've got our coffee data source. Here we've got our file system data source. If we go to not coffee's main TS, but this one, let's still call that not install verification, data sources, file systems. Yeah, so we've got our secret, which is now invalidated when this is live. We've got our file systems, probably file systems with the Z. We do need this. And our host, let's just comment that out. And let's actually also comment the API key. I want this to fail first. Fail like in an expected place. And it says file system. Yeah, okay. So first of all, this is good. Let's see the provider failing on something. And it says provider data is nil, which means it's not checking correctly right now this thing, which is surprising. So let's go to our provider and figure this crap out. I would assume this would have failed. It should have failed, because I have not set the Lambda Labs API key as far as I know. and not the host. So first of all, are these optional? I mean, they are here. Host API key. Should it be like, I don't know. Let's think about it for a minute. Response schema. Schema defines the provider level schema for the configuration data. How is it different? Here we've got endpoint and markdown description, which is uninteresting. Scaffolding, provider, context, request, response. Provider level schema for configuration data. Figure. Path root host. Host API key is unknown. Is unknown. Can we get this to fail like in a nice place? Let's set up a break. I don't know how can we set up a debugger right now for that, because we're running that through Terraform. Probably not that trivial. I don't want to deal with that right now. The fact that we're not seeing this is very annoying. Let's add tf debug again, and search configure configuring nothing lambda. It says invalid provider data. Please report this issue, blah, 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 blah. So I think for some reason, the new data source provider, I'm always forgetting new file system data source. I think this is called before. So not this one, but this configure. Yeah. I don't know why, though. Provider data. Can I panic here or something? And that what would happen if I panic? Oh, I need to rebuild in order for that to actually panic. It says no go file in blah 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 blah. Because it's not supposed to be cd back, it's supposed to be this. Yeah. And Terraform plan, and it should panic now. Plugin crashed. This is always indicative of a bug within the plugin. It would be immensely helpful if you would report this crash to the plugin's maintainers so it can be fixed. The above output should help diagnose the issue. Plugin did not respond. So the fact that this one is like we see some RPC errors here, that's interesting. Let's remove the panic, rebuild. So RPC. Invalid provider data. Not the verification, but the other one. Where is it? This one. So post API key. I think that should do it. Terraform plan. And it still claims invalid provider data. But now the RPCR is different and available. No, EOF. What happens if we don't do this? And we remove that. Okay, so we have configured the client apparently. But in order for us to actually configure this one, we need to also provide more stuff. I'm not sure. Okay, so that means this is some kind of like, I don't know, maybe magic that's related to this thing, or maybe we need to actually define something here. Like I don't know, let's add anything. This null check is basically, oh, I see. Yeah, okay. Name not expected. Awesome. So basically this check in our file is just unnecessary. If we go to the file system data source and we go for nil, we can literally comment this out. This is just unimportant for us. We don't need it, I think. I hope. And let's go back to our file system's main TF. And yeah, okay, everything here should be fine now. Could be nil and everything is okay. And it now says plugin exited. And we should have rebuilt everything to make things work. And okay, we've got next thing, unexpected data source configuration type. And our configuration type is now back to yeah, we've got too many open craps here. Yeah. So also this one, we just need the client, nothing fancy. Let's just literally do this. If not okay. Oh, wait, it was not okay. So that's not good. So I want that to be like not nil. So we need to do something. I'm not sure how would we actually. It's literally a void thing. We're like we don't need anything fancy here. So let's define like an empty struct maybe. Can we do that? Supposed to be any. So here we've got our client. How can we get this to work correctly? Do we need to override this? We might not even need to do that. Provider data client. You know what? Let's just literally comment everything out. We don't need to configure anything. We can just use the client that we have put like through magic in this area. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. Or you know what? Maybe we've got like an access to our provider. So request dot provider data. Response dot diagnostics. No, that's not good enough. Context. Let's see what we've got in our context. Done value deadline. No. Okay, so not context. Client. So this file system data source. Someone should set this client up. So who's creating this? Probably this return. Yeah. So should be a client here. New file system data source. So this is an array of functions. Void functions that initialize this, and the configure must do the thing. Okay, so we don't have access to that right now. We need somehow to access that later. So this file system data source, right now we are trying to configure, that's our initialization function. So we have to enforce this must not be null, but somehow we need to get the client from our provider. How do we set this up? Our provider right here has the client on the data source data and resource data. Does response have any other values? No. Do we have any like other things that we might want to attach these onto? Request. Maybe the configure request needs that somehow. So let's actually request config get schema raw, get attributes. No. Terraform version. No, not doesn't seem to be helpful. Response request, anything else? And context again would not help us. And our provider itself doesn't help us well. And okay, wait. In this context, reference is expected literally rather than quotes. And it says again that it's unhappy. Provider data is still nil. Well, sorry to disappoint. I think I'm going to basically not give up, but delay that for tomorrow. So all we've done is debugging with no progress. I'm sorry about that, and I'll see you tomorrow. Um, I truly do apologize for not getting to any like punch or anything super interesting. Bye bye for now.